Okay, so in this article, it talks about sibling rivalry, which obviously relates to my topic, but it also specifically talks about older siblings and younger siblings. In that sense, I mean firstborn and lastborn children. It tries to raise more of the aspects of how it affects the siblings, but from academic sibling rivalry instead of just rivalry in general or abusive rivalry. Um, It talks about the jealousy, the competition, and then like fighting amongst the siblings, and that's how it like defines the rivalry as like jealousy between brothers and sisters and competition and fighting among them. It says how like the rivalry, the problem with it is that children need to learn from when they're young by their parents or by somebody that they need to learn how to share, and that's the main issue that occurs. That's why there's a lot of sibling rivalry that occurs. um in this article they reference to Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest and how that can cause sibling rivalry because they're trying to be better than their other sibling, and how most human behavior is relative to um, culture and social issues, which is what also could be worsening the sibling rivalry among the siblings. They talk about how lastborns want firstborns want to be they want um they want parental approval, and then younger siblings want to prove themselves to their family. So, and they want to like the younger ones want to have like new talents to show off and things like that, and then the older siblings want to show how they can take care of their siblings at least when they're showing to the parents, or if they can be like role models to them by like their academics and certain things like that. It also talks about um how there can be a connection between sibling rivalry and then wanting a higher career status since you want to be better than your other sibling, which could be a benefit to sibling rivalry because you brings out the best. Could bring out the worst, but it brings out the best by wanting you to be better, so then you end up working harder. Okay, so the methods for this experiment, not an experiment, but for this article, is they interviewed 46 students that are siblings, 22 are firstborns, and 24 of them are lastborns. And then they asked them a series of questions with 5 factors. The factors include extraversions, agreeableness, consensuousness, neuroticism, and openness. And then it's an academic sibling rivalry questionnaire, is the way they worded it. And it's 20 questions with a 5-point scale. And then in that system, they put in like the scale of it, and then they put in the description as to why they feel that way. And for the results, they found that lastborns experience higher and less variable rates of academic sibling rivalry. So basically, they're not as affected. They're affected, but not by so many different factors. They're usually by like the same thing. And then they conducted that the birth order does affect how the person is affected by sibling rivalry and how they feel about it. And how firstborns are more conscious of it. They're more like conscious of like how their academics are doing in comparison to their younger siblings. And lastborns are experience more academic sibling rivalry just because they are overshadowed sometimes by their older siblings, so they have to prove themselves even more so. And that the elder sibling is always more conscientious towards the younger sibling, at least in the sense of like education, and they feel less threatened by them since they are younger, so they can't possibly have more education than them. And it also wants to help people like deal with their academic sibling rivalry in the sense of helping them cope with their feelings of anxiety, stress, and like sometimes it can even be depression, which affects their social and emotional development into society. which is one of the huge downsides shown here about sibling rivalry. Um, and that's basically what this article talks about, and it also includes like the sibling in this, like it says that they should focus more on like helping each other, because if the siblings were to actually help each other instead of having such rivalries, it would cause even greater like differences, because they would become more intellectually advanced together than they would anyways separate.